I'm Tabitha Rock.
And I'm Sam Davenport.
Born and bred in Melbourne, we live and breathe property, and we know the Melbourne market like the back of our hand. We've both been buying and selling real estate in Metro Melbourne for over 2 decades combined, and we've learned a few lessons along the way.
The Property Culture Podcast, Season 6.
Boom! Another season to look forward to of juicy content.
Juicy real estate goss.
Yes.
No.
I actually wanted to do an episode on like rogue agent activities, but then I was like, we might get cancelled. And also like I'm not talking just in the present time. I was talking about, back in the day. But then, I thought that we might get our tyres slashed when we're open. So that's probably not a great idea.
It's just such
or is
a
that what the people want to hear? Send us an email.
But maybe it is I think it is what the people would want to hear. But A, a huge portion of our listeners are real estate agents, and B, I consider them our colleagues.
Totally. And we have so many agent friends, but that's why it's so funny because we laugh about it behind closed doors.
I know. But man, some of them are sensy.
Yeah.
Little sensitive souls.
Oh, mate, I had a sensitive agent call me up recently at 7:30 at night and attack me for something I put out on social media. I've never forgiven him for how he came at the combo.
Line, isn't it?
It is a very fine line, but luckily we're not talking about agents today. We are talking about one of our wonderful past clients, which I'm excited about. I love talking about these case studies, success studies.
Yeah.
What's our little title, our hook going to be?
Well, success story. Case study. It's a case study on a past client.
On a success story.
On successful success case study past clients.
What is it? Alliteration?
Yes, which I didn't do. Just
tongue twisters.
Tongue twister, yeah.
Anyway, we wanted to run you through this interesting scenario because I think it just shows how we can help clients from a lot of different angles and just client profiles. So we were working with a young family, adults, couple of kids. They relocated down here from Sydney. They were renting in the area. Their kids were at primary school. They wanted to stay in the area. They had been looking for a while themselves and just not even coming close to securing anything, or they went to auctions, got blown out of the water, I'm pretty sure. Properties just didn't fall where they thought they would fall, or things needed too much work and they are busy professionals and didn't know quite how they would handle that. So they reached out to us quite a while before they ended up coming on board. I think that they, like a lot of people, we've always bought real estate ourselves. And so that's what a lot of people think that they can do. But I think people forget we're in an outsourcing economy right now. And we're just outsourcing, getting the takeaway delivered and all of it. The PTs and the account. We don't do our accounting anymore. So anyway, they reached out with a particular brief in a very specific area. We sort of had conversations about opening it up outside of sort of the Malvern pocket, our pocket, to potentially Hawthorn, because that was sort of the area of one of their kids' schools. But after a couple of months, we realised that's just not it. It is Malvern, and we're going to be really specific about targeting homes in Malvern East, Armidale. And right before Christmas, we got a great off-market. And it was a fantastic, bigger home than they expected to get. It was on like 700 square metres. Everything we'd been looking at was more sort of closer to the 400 mark. It had the pool already. Some of the places that we found you could put a pool in, but this one had it all sort of done. But it was a subdivided block. They didn't know if they were quite happy with that.
Right.
But because of the size of the block, it really didn't feel like a subdivided block.
Was it side by side or front and rear?
Front and rear.
And which one did you buy front?
The rear.
Oh, the rear.
Yeah. Which was, you just sort of feel like you're tucked away in this little idyllic paradise. The vendors had a bloody beehive.
Yeah.
They made their own honey.
Honey.
What the hell? Does that happen in the inner city?
Well, yeah, I mean, I was at a place in Brighton the other day where they were making honey. There was honey on the bench and there was a big bee thing out the front.
Really?
Yeah, but I don't think it's super common. But yeah, it's more common now than it has been
I think I'd
recently.
prefer chickens. But then there's a lot of
I don't
foxes
know.
around, isn't there?
Yeah, and like stinky.
Yeah, they're in a cage.
Yeah, I want it all, but then I don't
need
want
to
to
move to
deal
the-
with it. Yeah.
Yeah, we need to move to the country. Anyway.
Even actually, to be honest, this is deviating, but I watched a video of a chicken laying an egg up close.
No.
Nah, you'll never eat an egg again.
I don't
they
eat the
give
shell.
birth to the egg.
I don't eat the shell
Yeah,
though.
but everything about it will turn you off it. Just Google it.
Don't. No way. That's why I'm not watching those meat shows on Netflix
Yeah.
about the cows, killing the
I
cows.
was vegetarian for years after watching something about that.
Were you?
I was vegetarian for years. When I was pregnant, I started eating lamb chops like a psycho in the kitchen, just pure lamb chops.
No, and that's where it all went down.
And then I just never was vegetarian again.
Oh my gosh, I did not know that about you. How fascinating. I've never thought to be vegetarian, probably never will.
Yeah.
Love me a steak.
Yeah. I mean,
Love a lamb chop as well.
love a lamb chop. I mean, I'm sort of off lamb chops at the moment, but anyway.
Because you OD'd?
No, just it's very gamey.
That's what I love about it. You can actually taste it.
You can taste the animal.
Oh, the beef you get at the supermarket these days is disgusting, watery and feral.
Yeah, no. Compared to a real steak, it's so different.
Anyway, beehives.
Beehives at the property on the block that you bought.
And
for your
honestly,
client.
it looks like you've bought a castle in England sort of vibes. Like it's got this really great facade. Anyway, so we got this off market, got through it a couple of times, submitted an offer.
Mm-hmm.
These vendors were buying off the plan, had bought off the plan, and they had quite a long settlement.
Yes.
So they were planning on taking the property to auction in March and then, offering a sort of 91, 20-day settlement to marry up the settlements. Although I think that's so tricky to do if you're buying off the plan. I mean,
you'd say nearly impossible.
yeah, you need to have a plan B in terms of where you're moving to.
Go.
You're going to Europe for a couple
Settle
of months.
your house. Put your stuff in storage, move in when you come back.
Exactly. And so anyway, we submitted an offer. It wasn't even the money. It was just this difference of settlement times that we just could not overcome. And to be honest, this was towards the end of the year. So we were sort of thinking, okay, we're going to have a couple of months here of not much stock. But there has been years where there has been great stuff on offer over the Christmas period. So it's like, to offer this like crazy long settlement at this point when we can't check out what's available in the market over the next 2, 3, 4 months.
Yeah.
That's a massive gamble.
Yeah.
And so we basically, when the vendors weren't engaged in the process, which was a little bit disappointing given that we'd been offered the off market.
Yes.
And so it's like, there is a discussion to be had here. If we're getting through, but this is what we chat to clients about and prospective clients, that this is the problem with the off markets. They can just dig their heels in.
And there's no commitment.
There's no commitment. They can just run it on their timeline. They can run it with their pricing expectations and, away we go.
Yeah.
So very disappointed before Christmas that we had to let it go. Next couple of months of searching, really not much came up. The market at the start of this year was a bit funny.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of people wanted to see rate drops, and so we saw that. Then that encouraged a few more people to come to market. And this client wasn't sure whether they wanted a freestanding house, the new townhouse, or the older townhouse.
Mm-hmm.
And I was sort of indicating, although we are looking in Malvern, so typically the big townhouses, the new ones, even if they're one of two side by side, are built pretty well.
Oh, yeah.
Like they are of a high quality.
Yeah.
So it's not your typical townhouse out in Reservoir where they're selling for 700.
Yeah,
and,
no,
you're
doing
doing
talking of a very different quality of build. Yeah.
Exactly.
So they're built to last.
They're built to last.
Yeah.
So we're seeing those sort of homes and walking through. We saw this townhouse, which my client actually saw pass in, I think, 12 months earlier for 2.7, sell for 4.1.
Whoa.
Under very big competition. So, seeing all these things happen in the market, and it just made them realize how great of a house the original one we saw was.
Yeah.
That ended up coming on market. We ended up securing the home at auction, private auction against 2 others, which it's always a funny feeling, I think, for clients. Like they don't want to see competition, but they do.
Oh, yeah.
They
They're
want to
just
fight for it,
it's
but they
human
want what
nature.
other people want, but they don't want to pay the money to fight.
Social proof, human nature. It's a huge amount of money for people to pay. People second guess themselves on what they want for breakfast, let alone which house are you going to spend $4 million on and spend the next 10 years in? Are you going to love it? Are you going to hate it? Are you going to regret it? Or are you going to regret it if you miss out? It's such a massive, it's a mind fuck.
It is. Under the breath, it doesn't count.
Yeah. But it's so hard. So, yeah.
Yeah. But the funny thing is my pricing analysis from October to March did not change.
Really?
Yeah.
Even though I would argue that the market conditions in March is stronger.
Was slightly stronger. But I like factored in the emotional compel of this. Is that the right sentence? Yeah.
I don't know what the next words are.
Yeah. How emotionally engaging this property was. The outside was gorgeous and the home had a grand nature about it, but it was built in the early 90s.
Yes.
And the owners that lived in there had built it, hadn't changed much sort of in the way of paint colours and dark wood throughout, dark flooring, heavy curtains. And so it did detract a little bit, I think, from what the fundamentals of this property is, which is fantastic. And so we had competition, but I think if those little few tweaks had been made, like
it would have got a very different price.
Oh my gosh. And I just kept saying that to my client, like, we are so lucky these vendors don't want to put in the 50 grand of pre-sale works because it would be an incredibly different house.
Paint, window furnishings, light fittings, and polish the floors.
Like they still have those gold downlights. Downlights, but with the gold. Yes. That era. So these minor tweaks, which with pre-sale works, obviously they're doing quick flip.
Yeah.
So the 50 grand of pre-sale works to my client is going to probably be 100 grand of works to get it up to this like amazing standard. But I'm just so excited. So bought it at this really interesting private auction scenario, which I don't think a lot of buyers would have come across because it is very unusual in Melbourne.
Very.
I think it's a little
bit
bit
They're the only company that do it.
They are the only company that do it down here, but I think they said that a few Sydney agents do it. So basically you have to register prior to the day to get any information around what time the auction is occurring. So you're not getting neighbours, you're not getting anyone not qualified to be in that room.
Right.
So, everyone standing there is there to buy. They've done their research and they want it. And so that in itself, standing in a room, looking into people's eyes, like we're in the living room, where I'm almost stretching out, touching
them,
the competitor.
You can hear them breathing.
You heavily.
You can see the pulse in the neck.
And the vein and the redness
rising.
That's why I always wear high necks to auctions. No one's got any idea what's going on.
I always wear sunglasses so you can't see my eyes watering.
Are we going back to the sunburn?
Yeah, I mean, same vibes. Outside, in the elements, I'm unprotected.
You're meant to be in Tasmania.
Oh, no, I'm meant to be in the Highlands of Galway or somewhere. What's up the top?
Oh my God,
Highlands
you are.
of Scotland.
Well, you would have been fine in this auction because it was inside.
Oh,
there was no elements.
Yeah.
But anyway, and we have lots of conversations around price on this particular property, and we'd had a long time to think about it. So we've seen it before Christmas. We're now in March. Like we've had a long time to sort of think about it, see comparable sales, what it sold for. They did decide it's sort of in the last 12 hours to increase their budget very slightly. Luckily, we didn't have to use that extended amount.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm really, really happy about that because that was really very emotional money.
It was. That was late at night before, yeah.
And whilst I always encourage my clients to really sit with the feeling of if you miss out at this level, how will you feel? Are you comfortable? And I always say, like, I'm not going to allow you to give me stupid money.
Yeah.
Because there's always more property. But I will sort of say, like, this is going to be your family home for the next 10, like your whole kid's schooling.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think throwing 50 grand at these sort of numbers, an extra 100 grand is not the worst thing.
Yeah.
Because the other home that we had literally done a 180, no, a 90 degrees. No, 180.
Halfway.
I've got it. Was a brand new townhouse.
90 degrees.
Yeah, 90 degrees. I just turned to my left slightly. A podcast person has gone down with a funny bone injury. But we'd done a 180 with a new townhouse. We'd done a building and pest inspection and it came back poor.
Yeah.
Poorly built.
Yeah.
And the townhouse itself, I thought was a bad floor plan.
Yeah.
The laundry was stuck in the butler's pantry that was tiny. Like, so you're cooking your steak and your lamb chops. And your shirt for the next day is getting stinky.
Oh, it's next. Yeah, I see.
Yeah,
it's
right next to the
laundry.
kitchen. So then the powder room was oversized and like, you know, and then the kids' retreat was right next to the study where is anyone doing their Zoom calls? Like, I just didn't love the floor plan. And then the build quality came back.
Yeah.
And thankfully, my clients did decide to go with the original one and go to that because annoyingly they were at the same time. But I think that solidified the decision to go for this other one and maybe why they decided to give me that little bit extra to secure. Because whilst it looks daggy, the building inspection actually came back pretty good. Like minor maintenance items.
Right.
But it's a good home.
And this is the thing I think people forget. Like when you're talking about, you know, $100,000 worth of work on the one you did buy to freshen it up, that is adding at least its value, if not double, right? Double the value. So the investment in that 100 grand is very visual. You can see it, but the bones and the structure can be worked with. You can work on top of them. Yeah. Whereas the other one, they also would have had to have spent 100 grand on maintenance items that you can't see, therefore have not added value to the property.
Such a good point.
It's like there is all these factors that come into play when making decisions. You might love this for all these different reasons, but we talk about that factor. You know, both of them need 100K. This one's going to be very impactful visually and on the value. This one will just be to make it like safe and reasonable. And you're probably going to come up against new issues down the track because it wasn't well built. Mm-hmm. God, you can't buy property that wasn't well built.
No.
It's just that's a money pit.
And the building inspector just said to me, look, for this area and this amount of money they're fetching, like some of the choices of quality of material, like skirting boards, for instance. I mean, you can't really notice, but they were the cheapest, he said. And he's like, we're talking about a $3 million property here. Like, what are they playing with the cheapest skirting board?
Exactly.
And it's so funny. Guess who? And that, mind you, that all that due diligence we did on that newer townhouse was done in 48 hours before the auction to get our ducks in a row, which I think was so valuable to our clients just to really like rule that one out. Or else I would have been going for the one we bought sort of being one foot in the other camp.
Yes.
But funnily enough, guess who bought that new townhouse?
Who?
Someone that rocked up on the day, no due diligence.
Didn't do a building inspection, had no idea about what the condition was
and
like.
Then, and funnily enough, the agent called me up and the vendor wants it because it was still like one day in that 90-day period where they can, I don't know.
The vendor wants what?
The building and pest inspection. Oh. Yeah. So,
geez, that's interesting.
Really interesting. And I just said to my clients, like, see, that's why we also try and avoid auctions because we're getting rogue people more and more at the moment rock up on auction day and they've just got no real budget because they're so unpredictable. They've just come spending $3 million doing absolutely zero due diligence, not reading a contract of sale.
Very unusual.
Very wild behaviour. Like, great result. My clients were, but so then they sort of, you know, the dust settles. And I say this to everyone that you're going to feel sick.
Buyer's remorse.
It's a real thing.
It's not because you've bought something that's not right for you. It's not because you've paid too much, although obviously those two factors can be at play. But with us, it's not because of either of those two things. It's a natural human response.
It's happened to me every single time I bought real estate. And I just,
Yeah.
and it's
I go like this.
oh, do you? I'm like, what have I done?
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah.
What have I done?
It is so normal.
Where am I going with? I think because every property that I buy, I need to do work on as well.
Yeah.
And so I think this was partly going through their head that, oh my God, we've spent so much money and it still needs.
And it's, God, people always, I say to people all the time, doesn't matter what your budget is. We've got clients whose budget is 6 mil. Do you know what they want? They want 8 mil.
Yes.
And then they look at property and they're like, oh, but I don't like this and this and this and this. Yeah, well, believe it or not, that property wasn't built for you.
Yes.
That we didn't build that custom for you. That just exists in the streets. So if you want something custom, we can get you in touch with the builder. We can buy a piece of land and that's what we can do.
Yeah.
But otherwise we're dealing with what's in the street. And no matter what your budget is, there is going to be things within the property that you want to change to suit your taste, to suit your style, to suit your family.
Yeah.
That's normal.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what the budget is.
Yeah.
That's totally normal. Yeah.
Yeah.
But people do get very like, well, I've spent this and now it should be that. No, we're in Melbourne.
Yeah. And so I think that they were kind of overwhelmed that now, okay, great, we've actually secured it. And that was our main hurdle.
Yes.
Shit, now we need to paint it. Now we need to work and change the carpet. Now we need to get the blind person in. Next minute, 2 weeks later, back at the property, I've got 5 trades lined up.
Yeah.
1 o'clock Monday, and we're getting it done.
Oh, yeah.
And it was just, I think, very reassuring, to have 5 trades turn up at 1 o'clock as us. On time.
It just proves.
All lovely. All, we can chat through this calmly at the flooring shop. Hey, how about I come the day you settle? Sand back a tiny little
you can
part
have a look
of
and see the colour.
You can see if you like it. No stress, no pressure. It was just, I think the client took a bit of a breath and was like, this is going to be okay. Obviously, she still has to coordinate trades and things come settlement. Yeah. But I think just dealing with very good tradespeople is the key. And we have the team that we can put around clients to make them super comfortable, even through a renovation or a glow up or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But I just thought it was really good to talk about this particular client's experience because it really was ebb and flow.
Oh, yeah.
It was, yes, we've got the perfect off market.
Yes.
No, we can't buy it.
Can't buy
now
it.
we're back in the market. Then we secure it under competition, and hotly contested. Okay, we got it.
And then we had another one that was maybe going to be the other one that we want to buy instead. Same time. What do we do? Da-da-da. So much goes on.
So much. And
why
now
are
we need
still
to.
How are we so okay?
I'm at constant counselling.
Oh,
I've got them on speed
me
dial.
too. Yeah.
But
forget about that.
Yeah, forget about can we put a psychologist through the books? A wellness. I think. But to be honest, maybe we can like also give them to clients because it is a stressful. We try and take so much stress. I mean, we were just talking the other day about a vendor's advocate you have on, and there's just they've been in this home for 25, 30 years, and they're like emotional,
freaking out,
projecting onto. But it's all
at 7
very
o'clock
normal.
at night, and you got to just it's part of the job. And any real estate agent would say like that is, I think, a huge part of the job. Yeah, the emotional support. Like, if it's not just a numbers game, you're dealing with people, humans, their homes, their livelihood. It's a lot. There's a lot that goes into it, really. But from an emotional perspective, it doesn't take a rocket scientist, but a very emotionally intelligent person, perhaps.
Yeah. But, really interesting sort of scenario. Obviously, we finished off last season with this talking about A-grade real estate and fundamentals and, ticking in school zones and ticking access to transport. And this is that home. And it will be that within sort of 6 weeks after settlement because it will feel really fresh, really crisp, really clean. And now we've got sort of sprawling 650 square metres with a pool, tandem garage, with obviously an EV charging station. That's being left.
Oh.
Yeah. The vendor's got a Tesla.
Yeah, okay.
Bees and Teslas, of course.
Yes.
So, they go hand in hand.
Teslas. Yeah.
I'm surprised they're not making fig jam or something with their fig tree. There's no fig tree.
I'm sure they would be. There's no fig tree.
But there's probably a kumquat tree or something making kumquat.
Surely. I always think that there's got to be lemon tree. The lemon trees are a good omen. I always buy property that has a lemon tree. I don't know if I could count one that doesn't.
Really?
I reckon it's every time with a lemon tree. When I see it, I'm like, this is the one.
Oh my God, maybe when you sell homes for people as the vendor advocacy service, you give them as a sign-on a lemon tree to just plant
and say,
to be
this
the good
is
omen.
our omen.
I love it.
That's happening. Okay, F, marry, kill. Is that ready? Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. What have you got for me?
Oh, I've got one for you.
Oh, dearie me.
Okay, F, marry, kill. Buying that property off market in October. Or January or December, whenever it was, buying that property off market.
Am I the client or am I myself?
You're yourself. You're yourself. Buying that property for the client off market when you first saw it off market. Buying that property exactly as you bought it, under competition, private auction, after everything you went through to get there. Or not buying that one and in the end going to the other one, the townhouse that you didn't think was the right one, but they decided they wanted you there and you bought that.
Well, in actual fact, when we were back at the property, she kept telling me she should have bought the new townhouse. And I was like, not in 2 years. Not in 2 years.
Not in 2 years. 4
not
years,
in 1 year.
5 years. Yeah, not in one. None. Yeah.
So I am definitely killing that option.
Yeah.
Like I just know they would have grown out. Like they've got two borderline they're not teenagers, but you know, before you know it, these kids are teenagers and they bring their stinky friends over and wanting to have stinky parties. And, you know, we wanted to buy this home for the 10 years.
Yes.
And they just, I know, would have outgrown it. We would have been buying a house in 4 years' time, more stamp duty, more stress. So I definitely know, you know, it is what we've got is the one. To be honest, I'm going to do a strange one. I'm going to marry the scenario that we found ourselves in.
Yes.
I do think that social proof is sometimes what some people need to see. I think if we bought it off market.
With a long settlement, they would have looked at everything that came on the market.
And just really second-guess their decision, despite them having been in the marketplace for a long time already prior to us working together.
Yeah.
So, and so I'll F the scenario of securing it easily, but some people, you know, well, in an off market, it can be easy.
Oh, yeah.
So, marrying the scenario, it's been the right decision. And I keep saying she's going to call me in a year for a pool party. And she's going to be like, we made the right decision. I think after 6 weeks of settling and seeing what a paint job can do. Because
definitely.
I think we
know what can happen.
Well, and we don't realize
they can't see it.
They can't see it
because I forget they can't see it.
Yeah, we do it time and time again. We've done it for 15 years.
I see it as it will be. I don't even see it as it is sometimes. Like I'm like, oh no, I have to really look at it as it currently is, and I'm like, no, I just see what it will be.
Absolutely, yeah. Which is helpful and very unhelpful because we can't see it with our clients' eyes.
Yes. Yeah. But that's where then you've got to walk back through and really think about what you're looking at, what's currently there. But then, we always say to them, this is what you should do. Organise the quotes, get them on their way. Because sometimes people will be like, oh, just move in. No, don't move in yet.
Actually, I've teed her up with an interior designer that we're going to get on the podcast this season. And she gave fantastic suggestions. It's got carpet coming down the stairs with like dark stained ready wood and a handrail. She said paint it black that will go with the raw iron. Yeah. She showed us examples. I'm like, this is why you're here. This is why you're worth your weight in gold. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that one.
Bye.